Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Bewitcher, Cursed Be Thy Kingdom, out April 16th on Century Media Records. The album has 10 tracks, 36 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. They are a black speed heavy metal band from the United States of America. Now, this album has an interesting structure because it's super linear, super fluid, and very dynamic. I don't like how it starts. That's perhaps the only negative that I could find with this album is the opening track, Ashe. It's an instrumental track that works as an intro. It's just under the 2-minute mark, and it has this Western vibe to it, and I don't find that vibe to really be appealing, and more importantly, it doesn't connect with the rest of the record. It doesn't show up ever again throughout the album, so it kind of feels like this song is out of place. I understand the need to have an intro track because this is a absolutely balls to the wall, relentless kind of record. It has 2 speeds, fast and faster. So for an album that has this sort of dynamic mechanisms, that has this sort of fluidity, you almost need an intro track in order to set the table. I'm just not sure that this is the right track for this album. Now, once you get over that song and you get into the meat and bones of the record, it's absolutely magnificent. The album just moves so well. There's 0 gaps in between the songs. You're going to get some breaks, but you're going to get breaks based on where the songs are situated in the overall structure of the record, because like I said, it moves fast and faster. So the ones that are moving fast, because they're not moving at the same speed that perhaps you're expecting, they feel a lot slower than what they are. But enough to give you a breather, enough to give you a break, and to prepare you for the onslaught that will come right around the corner. So the album has this consistency of approach. It has a consistency of soundscape that, while changing ever so slightly from song to song, the structures are changing as well. The overall mood that you get from this record stays very uniform across all 10 tracks. So this allows the record to stay very connected, and allows for the listener to keep itself engaged with the listening experience with the record and not really want it to come off of this ride until the album is over. Because to be honest with you, I don't really feel like there's a time or a song that allows you to step off. It's just too well integrated. All the tracks are really well integrated together. The album has this continuous flow, and it doesn't feel like it pauses or breaks at any given time. So you just want to stay where you are, you want to enjoy the ride, stay on it, and just wait until the album is over before you take a step away from it. Now, as far as the soundscape is concerned, I really like the sound on this album. I was expecting it to be a little bit more raw, to perhaps be a little bit more edgy, to be rough around the edges, if you will, because that would fit the mold and would fit the band and definitely would fit their style. I was surprised that this album, while being gritty, it sounds very well produced, very well polished. It has a clean look to it. There's still some rugged moments throughout the record, and the grittiness that the guitars have add to that roughness, also do the vocals. But overall, the sound quality of this album is outstanding. It has a lot of depth, at least it feels like it has depth, because overall the album feels simple in its approach, but sometimes that simplicity is a little misleading. So I felt that the overall sound experience of this album really shows a little bit of depth. It shows definitely the quality that the record has, and allows you to digest all the different elements that make up that soundscape. You can understand exactly what the drums are doing, you can understand what the bass is doing, you can understand what the guitars are doing. Everything has its moment, everything is in its lane, but everything is also really well combined in order for you to be able to digest the pieces and understand what the full picture is all about. Now, within that sound, there's one element that rises itself above all others, and it's really the driving force behind this record, and perhaps you guessed it, it's the guitars. This is a guitar-driven album. I don't think anybody was expecting the bass or the drums, or even the vocals for that matter, to take the leading role on where this album is going to take you from the first song all the way to the last. The guitars are dictating everything. They're the driver, they're the steering wheel, they're the gas pedal, they're the chassis of the car, they're the motor. They're just everything about this album surrounds itself in terms of what the guitars can offer, what the guitars can give you, and exactly dictating where the direction of each and every single song goes. They're just there to control the atmosphere, to control the sound experience, to control the mood, to control everything that has to do with each and every single song. They are everything about the track. Then obviously the other elements complement the picture, allow you to have a much deeper understanding of what the songs have to offer musically and lyrically. But let's not kid ourselves. The guitars are the end all and be all of how this record comes across, of how powerful it is, how heavy it is at times, and definitely how fast it goes. The vocals is a different element within the record that I felt was super consistent. Not that the other elements were not consistent in their own way, but I felt that within everything that makes up the sound, there was perhaps a bigger space within the borders, so they were able to be a little bit more creative in where they were to go with the guitar sound or the guitar approach or the drums or the bass. I felt that the vocals were a little bit more controlled. They had more of a tight net surrounding them in order for them to keep the album a little bit glued. They were perhaps the glue that held the whole record together, allowing it to be fast, faster, dynamic, explosive, but still staying within its path, keeping the goal in mind of where you want to go and how you're going to reach it. So the vocals kind of had that effect to me. They stayed very controlled within their parameters from the beginning all the way to the end. There's really no changes. The tone stays very consistent, but the grittiness that comes from the vocal approach, it's really important for the overall atmosphere of the record. You want to give the album a little bit of darkness. You want to give the album a little bit of a grounding, if you will, bring the mood down and keep it there in certain key points of the record. And I felt more often than not that the vocals were exactly doing that, bringing darkness to the forefront, giving darkness to the lyrical content that's present within this album, or at least making it a little bit more noticeable in how it was delivered within the tracks, and definitely keeping everything tight and everything together. So I like the approach, I like the consistency of approach, I like the fact that they didn't change depending on where the songs were going. That allowed everything else to be a little bit more dynamic, and they stayed cohesive, they stayed together, they stayed united, and like I said, the grittiness in the vocals really adds an important aroma to how this album comes across. Overall, I love this record. This is an album that you have to listen to it on repeat. It's only 36 minutes in length, so what better way to enjoy it but to get a double dose of it? Just go back for seconds, press repeat, go on play, and listen to the album twice. Then you get the enjoyment, but you get the enjoyment times 2. I think that's the best way, the only way to listen to this record, because it goes by so fast. You just feel like you want more from it, and the only way to get more from it is to listen to it multiple times. There's really not many flaws with this record. I would say the intro perhaps is the only really noticeable flaw, because it doesn't really connect with the rest of the record. It doesn't feel like it gives continuity to the album. It just feels a little bit out of place. Like I said earlier, I like the fact that the album has an intro. I just don't like the intro that it has. Outside of that, this is a flawless record. It fits exactly what I was expecting from the album. The clear sound, the more crisp delivered a soundscape works extremely well in order for the album to be balanced, to be cohesive, to be strong, to be unified from the first to the last song, and still be gritty and still be raw at times, heavy and driven. So this is an album that hits the nail on the head. I absolutely love this record. I cannot get enough of it. The songs are hooky, they're catchy, great choruses, great melodies, the guitar work is outstanding. Everything fell in place and fell in the right place as far as this record goes. Now, as far as favorite songs goes, that's really hard to pick because I liked every song on this album. Once again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but with the exception of the intro. But I picked 3 that have something different to offer and give you a glimpse of what you can expect overall from this album, because this is not a one-size-fits-all style record. What you get with the first song is not what you're going to get on every single track, even though some of the elements stay the same. I want to start off with Death Returns. This is the second song on the record. It has a great guitar sound, and the bass creates a magnificent layer within the overall sound experience of this track. The song comes at you fast and faster. It has those 2 speeds, and those 2 speeds allow the track to be dynamic, to have ebbs and flows, to have ups and downs, and give you a sense of movement, because you feel like you're coming in and out of the track as the song progresses, as the speed intensifies or decreases. That's kind of the feeling that you're going to get out of this whole track and how it's put together. The solo on this song doesn't bring speed to the track, but it does bring darkness to how the song is perceived. It helps the darkness that's already built into the lyrics. It helps the darkness that you get from the melody that's coming out of the vocals. So the solo kind of catch on to those 2 elements and perhaps emphasize it, made it a little bit more noticeable. And I like that aspect, but because it helped break the dynamic of the track itself. If the solo is just about speed and the song already has speed in it, everything would kind of blend in together and it would kind of hard to see the forest from the trees. So having this kind of different approach really worked well for this track. Next, Valleys of the Ravens. I love this song, a more controlled track, a slower track. Not that this song is slow, but compared to some of the ones that came before and some of the ones that come after, this song feels slow, just by comparison, not that it is. But I like the more controlled environment that it has. I like the fact that it allows the melody to percolate and come a little bit more to the forefront. This is a track that really offers a blend of melody, darkness, and intensity. These three elements are really coexisting throughout this track. Depending on where you are, you're going to get more of one, less of the other. But the three are really coexisting throughout the song, allowing this track to be really interesting, allowing this song to really stay within your memory, stay within you. And then you have a bass guitar solo combo that is just out of this world. It creates an incredible atmosphere. It fits perfectly in the overall tempo that the track has. It doesn't break the song, it just gives continuity to it, but emphasizes that darkness, it emphasizes that melody, and it emphasizes that intensity. All three elements coming together during that stretch, allowing the song to be a super memorable track just from that perspective. Last but not least, The Widow's Blade. This is a song that just comes at you relentless. It just doesn't stop. From the moment it gets going until the end, you just feel like the wind is at your face. It's just a super relentless style track. The guitars and drums together, blazing the path that this song travels on. Not just the guitars, but the drums together, the two together, really creating heaviness and speed and alternating those and just, you know, destroying everything in its path, just really blazing this brand new road for you to travel on as you enjoy this song, as you progress through it. The guitar riffs cut like a blade. I really felt that about this song. I wouldn't call them necessarily heavy, but they did have a little bit of a heavy drive to them that made them more penetrating, that made them a little bit more noticeable as you progress through it. It's not just about the speed of execution, it's also about the length and the depth of that same execution and what you're going to get from it. And I felt like you're going to get exactly that out of this track. The chorus is super hooky, super catchy, something that's true throughout the entire record. It has simplicity in it. Another element that you're going to see throughout this album on every single song is the simplicity of approach, at least the perception of that simplicity. Not to say that this is a simple record to put together, but it comes across very simple to digest. You don't have to look under the rug to get what the song is all about. It's pretty much delivered in a platter in front of you, and this song is a perfect example of that. I just love the energy that it has from beginning all the way to the end. This is it. This is Bewitcher with Cursed Be Thy Kingdom, out April 16th on Century Media Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.